Hello, I am Vivian McGrath from vivianmcgrath.com, and today I want to talk about how courage replaces fear. And I'm literally just riffing this off the top of my head. I haven't even thought about what I want to say, but I've come on here because I'm seeing the same thing over and over and over again. So many women come to me and they are full of fear, really overwhelmed by fear, fear of the unknown, fear of the future, fear, will anybody ever love me for who I am in a way that they love me in return for as much as I give to them and love them. This is usually women who've come from a lifetime of toxic relationships, one after the other. And they are usually really strong, capable, successful women who to the outside world, you would never know how broken and afraid they feel. But, when you go deep, this fear is completely overwhelming. Let me know in the comments below if you've ever felt that overwhelming fear that paralyzes you. And it stops you. In a way, it sabotages you because you get, you have this fear and it stops you doing exactly what you need to do to heal your life. Because when you are faced with this fear, the only way out of that fear is to face it and walk through it. And that's really, really quite scary. And these are women who've said to me, I am done with a lifetime of toxic relationship. I've done with every relationship I'm in hurts because that person is unavailable to me. I'm tired. I'm tired of giving and getting nothing in return. I need to do something. And what they find is they can't cross over that fear to actually take the steps that they need to do to start to heal their life. And in a way, that is part of the process of having been in toxic relationships all your life. You do become so numb and it becomes your normal. So anything that's not that, even though that toxic walking on eggshells all the time, even though that's a really uncomfortable place, normal place to be, it is what's familiar and what you're used to. And so having to then say, I'm now going to do something about it. I'm going to step up and put myself first. I'm going to go and find the right support I need to help. I'm going to put in the work I need to do. It actually becomes overwhelming and scary. And it's easier to just say, I'm not going to go there because I'm going to fail. I've tried things before. It's failed. It hasn't worked for me. So you go back to that comfort zone. And, that's exactly why you need to start to do something different, because that same pattern that when we're in one toxic relationship after another, that pattern of when we, how many times did you leave those toxic relationships really strong, saying, I'm going to do something. I'm now going to change my life. I'm never going back to that again. And you leave and you feel strong. And then you get so overwhelmed with fear and you go back. That pattern is all part of the toxic pattern. And you go back because it's what's familiar, it's what feels comfortable to you, it's what you're used to, even though it's going to lead to more pain and more hurt. You just go back. And so when these really strong, capable, beautiful women come to me and they say, I need to do something, I need help, and we talk about it, I then see that scared little girl come up And it's all the fear that I'm going to fail. I can't do this. This is outside my comfort zone. And that's exactly why. You know, going back to your comfort zone is not the safe space. You know that already. It's not the safe space. What if it's possible that every opportunity, everything you're longing for and wanting and dreaming your life could look like is outside of your comfort zone? And I remember, you know, when I left a very toxic relationship, violent relationship, and I was on my own for the first time, it was just absolutely terrifying. I was overwhelmed. I just thought, I don't know what my life is going to be like in the future. Who's going to love me? I faced life as a single mother, you know, and it was really, really overwhelming. And the safest thing for me to do was to curl up in a ball, cry, do nothing. And, or worse, go back to him like I had many, 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 many times before. But then I realized that that comfort zone that I got drawn back to was not a comfort zone at all. It was just my normal. Dysfunction had become my normal. And I was so used to it that anything outside that felt terrifying. But you know what trumps fear every time? It's courage. Courage. And you just need to find the courage to take the first baby step. Action. You need to take action. Take action out of overwhelm. If you do nothing and you stay paralyzed and scared in that inaction, then guess what's going to happen? The fear is just going to get worse. It's just going to expand. And then you'll become more paralyzed and more stuck and more likely to go back into all those old patterns of behavior that you know haven't served you. They've hurt you because you're in that place of unhappiness. And so courage, you know, I found the courage to just take the first step. And that was to admit that I needed help. I had to admit that my life had become completely out of control. I was scared. I was lonely. I was afraid of the future. And that was not a place I wanted to be. So I had to find the courage to say to myself, is this the life I want to be living? And the answer was no. Is this the woman I want to be, this broken shell of myself that I don't even recognize anymore? No, it wasn't. So what choice did I have? I had to find the courage to do something. And you know what? If you know, even a little bit of courage to say, I need help, I need support, I need to find out why I keep going back to or into new relationships that hurt me. Not to blame anyone, because no one's to blame for finding themselves in this repeated pattern of toxic relationships. But when I realized that if I found the courage to get to the root cause of how and why, I seem to be the perfect prey for that type of person, then I could change me. And that liberated and freed me. So I found the courage to get the right help and support. I found the courage to take action, and it really scared me. It was really out of my comfort zone. But I realized that's exactly why I needed to do something different, because I was tired of that comfort zone. That comfort zone had led me to a place where I didn't even recognize myself anymore, and going back into relationships that hurt me. That's not a comfort zone at all. That's a false security blanket is what it is. And you know, it's incredible. the thing that really separates for me the women out who do go on to completely heal their lives and recover from toxic relationships, totally fall back in love with their lives, have strong boundaries, value themselves highly, so they'll never settle for anything less than they deserve again. From those who don't, it's firstly, even though stepping out of their comfort zone is scary, they find the courage to do it anyway. Because the more you can take an ounce of courage and lean into that and take that first step, then you can find the next bit of courage to take the next little step, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one after that. All you have to do is find that first bit of courage to take the first step. That's it. And then, because if you can find courage, courage trumps fear. It completely blows it out of the water. And the more you start focusing on finding courage, the more you expand that. You can't have both. You can't have courage and fear at the same time. It starts to dissolve the fear because you're doing something. Feeling stuck, trapped, paralyzed, overwhelmed, those emotions are ones that keep you in that place. And I really get it, when this has been your normal, it's been your life, all your life, and you've been in this pattern where you go back into a dysfunctional relationship because it feels what you're used to. And then the cycle gets worse again. So you leave and you find the courage to leave. And then you start to weaken because it's out of your comfort zone. And then you go back. You go into this loop and you get stuck in that loop. So, the women I see who come to me and they say, I'm done. It's non-negotiable. I'm not living another day in this place where I'm terrified and overwhelmed and stuck, because I know what my life will look like in 5 years' time if I stay in that place. And they say to me, this is so terrifying. It's out of my comfort zone, but I know I have to do something about this because everything I've tried so far hasn't worked. And that starts to free you, because if you don't take a stand for yourself and find some courage to walk towards whatever it is, the right mentor, the right support, the right self-help book, whatever, that walk towards taking steps towards doing something to change your life, you will allow yourself to stay trapped and stuck and immobile and paralyzed. And, the women I see that do that, it's the difference between abandoning yourself and saying, you know what, it's okay to feel scared and overwhelmed and trapped, and I'm just going to isolate myself even more, and I'm going to close that door, retreat. And I have seen women who are at the point where they barely go out and engage with people because they don't want people to know the secret, that on the outside, to the outside world, they look really successful, they look really confident, they look really strong and capable. And when they go home and shut that door, no one knows that there's this secret shame and fear and depression and overwhelm and loneliness. And they trap themselves in this prison and do nothing. And then I see the women who just say, I'm done with that. This, even though it's scary, it's unacceptable for me to stay there. I'm not abandoning myself like that. everybody in my relationships has abandoned me, but I'm not going to abandon myself and say it's good enough to stay there, because it's not. And so they steel themselves. They get out of their comfort zone and they say, you know, if I can find the courage to just do something, find the right support, take steps towards helping myself, because nobody can help you but you, ultimately. You can get the right mentor and support and all that, of course, but you have to help yourself. And that takes courage. But all you need is the courage to take that first step. That's it. That's it. And when you do that, it gets easier, because you start to feel, oh, I'm a bit more empowered. I'm actually doing something. I'm not helpless. I'm not paralyzed. I'm not trapped in this prison I've built around myself of loneliness. There is something that I can do. And I just wanted to share that, because you have the power to choose. It might feel like you're completely powerless. It might feel, and I remember, because I was in that place when I left and I was rebuilding my life after a very toxic relationship. I felt trapped. I felt powerless. I felt helpless. I felt so afraid. But I just made the decision. I'm not abandoning myself, and I'm not staying stuck there, because I deserve better. And my son, I wanted to create a different life for him. I didn't want him to have a mother who was depressed and sad and isolating herself and afraid. What would I be modeling to him if I taught him that you give in to fear and then do nothing? Or was I going to be the woman to say, I'm afraid, but I'm going to lean into it, find the courage and do it anyway? Does that make sense? You have the power, even when you don't think you do. But you know, there's a very big difference between those who choose to get out of their comfort zone and go and find all those incredible opportunities that are out there. And I'm living proof of that, because I went from this very dark place to completely and utterly changing my life, all because I found the courage to take the first step and get the help I needed. And I had that choice. And suddenly I didn't feel so powerless anymore. And once the courage, once I found it, the courage expanded and expanded, because I could see the results of getting out of my comfort zone. And, you know, a lot of this getting out of your comfort zone as well is you've been so used to putting everyone else first and abandoning yourself to them, to their needs, to focusing on other people, that actually there's a lot of fear about what will it take for me to find the courage to step out of my comfort zone. It's not always about the fear of what if I try and I fail. It's also, what if I succeed? What will that mean? Will I have to put my head above the parapet and get a bit vulnerable? Will I have to trust other people again? Will I have to expose who I am? You know, there's a lot of fear around all of it. Not just about will I fail, but what if I'm afraid of where getting out of my comfort zone might take me? And will I be good enough to rise up to that? Does that make sense? So I just wanted to share that, you know, that you're not powerless, and courage replaces fear. But if you know, want to stay in that comfort zone and that dysfunctional safety blanket, which is what it has become, then you will find every reason why you can't. you'll find every reason. I see some women, and I say this with love and compassion, because I also know it's all part of this, how toxic relationships over and over again affect you, and trauma, what it does to you. But I also see many women contributing to being their own victim and sabotaging their own success, because just when they go to step out of their comfort zone, just like whenever you went to leave a toxic relationship and you felt strong and you felt great, you then sabotaged it and went back to it. It's the same thing. So I see so many women who start to go, yes, this is it. I'm taking this action. I'm going to get the right help and support. I'm going to put the work in. I'm going to do this, then crumble in fear. And they find all the reasons why it's not going to work for them, why it's different, my situation's different, why I can't because I'm too busy at work. You know what I mean? You can find any reason that makes it easier for you just to go, nah, I'm actually happy doing nothing. I'm happier in my inaction, because then I'm not taking any risk. I'm not putting myself out there. But just ask yourself this. Is that place where you are now, that is looking like you're, to the outside world, you're strong, you're capable, you're confident, you're successful, but the person who you are inside is so different that you don't even recognize yourself anymore? You feel secretly really afraid. You feel secretly ashamed and not good enough. Is that who you want to be for the rest of your life? Balance up. What's the consequences of staying stuck in those patterns that feel sort of like your comfort zone, versus stepping out and taking the risk that maybe there's an amazing life out there waiting for you? In 5 years' time, weigh it up, in 5 years' time, and you're still stuck in that place of, I'm too frightened to do anything, so I'm just going to find the reasons why it's okay. My life, it's okay to be like this. What would you regret the most? And fear is a really weird thing, because fear, often it's a fear of fear itself. And the more you focus on that fear and how afraid you are of being afraid for the rest of your life, or afraid of the future, the unknown, what's to come, what's out there that you're not familiar with and comfortable with, the bigger that grows. And it just takes control of you. It takes control of you, and you become a hostage to it. But as I said, courage is what trumps that. And it might feel terrifying to find the courage to take the step of just holding someone's hand and getting the right help or support or whatever. But you know what? Once you do it, it feels amazing, because you feel that fear just start to shrink. And the more you walk towards with courage and boldness and certainty that I do not want to stay stuck there, so I'm going to just take whatever risk there is to go in the other direction, because I've tried doing that place over, and I still have never found joy and happiness. So I'm going to do something different. So put in the comments below if that makes sense to you, and where you are at, because it breaks my heart. I see so many amazingly successful, brilliant women whose kids are educated. They've got everything going for them and their children. But this constantly going into these toxic relationships over and over and over again, that models the wrong type of relationships to their children, that leaves them lonely and heartbroken when that next unavailable person hurts them again. And that missing piece, they stay stuck there. And that is going to pass it down to their children. It's modeling down to their children that that's what relationships look like. When they have the opportunity, if they can just find the courage, the opportunity to break that and say, you know what? That's not good enough for me. I'm done. I'm tired of being afraid. I'm tired of it. So, you know, finding the courage to step out of your comfort zone instead of finding all the reasons why it's easier and feels better to just retreat and just stay there. It's scary, but it's also the most liberating thing I've ever done in my entire life, because you have no idea the opportunities that are out there on the other side of you waiting for you if you can just take that first step. That's it. So I hope that makes sense. And if you want to find out more, because I, you know, the 5 steps that my clients have taken, I've shown them how to take to push through this fear. And every one of them was terrified when they first grabbed their hand to work with me. But I've shown them how to face that fear with courage so that it dissolves away and they can start to really stand in their worth without fear of what other people think of them, without fear of vulnerability, without any fear of the future, and really take their power back. I've outlined them. I pull the curtain back on those in my free workshop, How to Recover from Toxic Relationships, Fall Back in Love with Life, and Never Settle for Less Than You Deserve Again. Look for the link in the description below, and do ask me questions in the comments. I respond to as many as I can. So ask me questions. Tell me if that resonates with you, what it is that you're afraid of. And just know that courage replaces fear. It trumps it. It blows it out of the water. And ultimately, it dissolves it. You know, so just remember this. You have a choice. And the choice feels like the most terrifying for you right now, which is to step outside your comfort zone. That might be the most scary thing. But trust me, when you lean into that fear and do it anyway, that is when you'll change your life. So thank you for joining me. Really sorry, I might have gone round in circles there because I just completely riffed that off the top of my head. But let me know in the comments below. Do watch my free workshop, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.